With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we have commemorating World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Around 1 in 6 people, 60 years and older, experience some form of abuse in the community settings during the past year. Rates of elder abuse are high in institutions such as nursing homes and long-term care facilities, with 2 in 3 staff reporting that they have committed abuse in the past year. Rates of elder abuse have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. Elder abuse can lead to serious physical injuries and long-term physiological, psychological consequences. Elder abuse is predicted to increase as many countries as experiencing rapidly aging populations. The global population of age 60 and years older will more than double from 900 million in 2015 and 2 billion in 2050. Addressing gender-based violence in older age policy, law, and evidence-based responses. In the context of last year's commemoration of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, the World Health Organization, is in partnership with the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDSA, Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Rights, OHCHR, United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and UN Women, with support from the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, INPEA, published Tackling Abuse of Older People, 5 Priorities for the UN Decades of Healthy Aging, 2021 to 2030. The resource outlined key priorities to prevent and respond to the abuse of older persons and hence continue to improving the health, well-being, and dignity. This year, the commemoration will provide an update of the implementation of their priorities. So ahead of the milestone of the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, this year's commemoration of WEED will also connect with the year-long campaign to promote and recognize the 75th anniversary. As the month June of the campaign will also focus on showcasing the UDHR by raising awareness on its legacy, relevance, and activism as relates to women's rights. The theme of 2023 WEED commemoration in the United Nations headquarters in New York entitled Closing the Circle, Addressing Gender-Based Violence in Older Age, Policy Law, and Evidence-Based Responses. Between 2019 and 2030, the number of persons aged 60 years or over 60 years is projected to grow by 38% from 1 billion to 1.4 billion, globally outnumbering youth, and this increase will be greatest and the most rapid in the developing world. And also recognizing the greater attention needs to be paid to the specific challenges affecting older persons, including in the human rights and the field of human rights. Elder abuse is a problem that exists in both developing and developed countries. Yet, it is typically underreported globally. Prevalence rates or estimates exist only in selected developing countries, ranging from 1% to 10%. Although the extent of elder mistreatment is unknown, its social and moral significance is obvious. Elder abuse is a problem that exists both in developing and developed countries, yet is typically underreported globally. Prevalence rates or estimate rates exist only in selected developing countries, ranging from 1% to 10%. Although the extent of elder mistreatment is unknown, its social and moral significance is obvious. As such, it demands a global multifaceted response, one which focuses on protecting the rights of older persons. Approaches to define, detect, and address elder abuse need to be placed within a cultural context and considered alongside culturally specific risk factors. For example, in some traditional societies, older widows are subjected to forced marriages, while in others, isolated older women are accused of witchcraft. From a health and social perspectives, unless both primary healthcare and social service sectors are well equipped to identify and deal with the problem, elder abuse will continue to underdiagnose and overlook. Ageism affects how we think, feel, and act towards others and ourselves based on age. It imposes powerful barriers to the development of good policies and programs for older and younger people and has profound negative consequences on older adults' health and well being. Launched by the World Health Organization, the Combating Ageism campaign aims to change the narrative around the age and aging help to create for all ages. Age friendly cities benefit everyone, and especially older people, including migrants and refugees living in communities outside their own, can benefit approaches that target the challenges in creating enabling environments for all to live and thrive. Population aging is poised to become one of the most significant social transformations of the 21st century, with implications for nearly all the sectors of the society, including labor and financial markets, the demand for goods and services such as housing, transportation, and social protection, as well as family structures and integral ties. So, aging, the world population is aging. Virtually every country in the world is experiencing growth in number of and proportion of older persons in their population. Population aging is poised to become one of the most significant social transformations of the 21st century, with implications for nearly all sectors of the society, including labor and financial markets. The demand for goods and services such as housing, transportation, and social protection, as well as family structures and intergenerational ties. Older persons are increasingly seen as contributors to development whose abilities to act for betterment of themselves and their societies should be woven into policies and programs at all levels. In the coming decades, many countries are likely to face fiscal and political pressures in relation to the public systems of healthcare, pensions, and social protections for a growing older populations. Globally, the population aged 65 and over is growing faster than all other age groups. According to the data from World Population Prospects, the 2019 revision, by 2050, 1 in 6 people in the world will be over 65, 16% that is, up to and up from 1 in 11 in 2019, 9%. By 2050, 1 in 4 persons living in Europe and North America would be aged 65 or over. In 2018, for the first time in history, persons aged 65 or above outnumbered children under 5 years of the age globally. The number of persons aged 80 years or over is projected to triple from 143 million in 2019 to 426 million in 2050. The size and age composition of the population are determined jointly by 3 demographic processes: fertility, mortality, and migration. have experienced substantial increase in life expectancy since 1950. As the life expectancy at birth increases, improvements in survival of older ages account for a growing proportion of overall improvement in longevity, while declining fertility and increasing longevity are the key drivers of the population aging globally. International migration has also contributed to the changing population age structures in some countries and regions. In countries that are experiencing large immigration flows, international migration can also slow the aging process, at least temporarily, since migrants tend to be in young working ages. However, migrants who remain in the country eventually will age into the older population. There are certain key conferences on aging. To begin with addressing these issues, the General Assembly convened the first World Assembly on Aging in 1982, which produced a 16-point Vienna International Plan of Action on Aging. It is called for specific action on such issues that as health and nutrition, protecting elderly consumers, housing and environment, family, social welfare, income security and employment education, and the collection and analysis of research data. In 1991, the General Assembly adopted the United Nations Principles for Older Persons, enumerating 18 entitlements for older persons related to independence, participation, care, self-fulfillment, and dignity. The following year, the Intellectual Conference on Aging met to follow up on the plan of action, adopting a proclamation on aging. Following conference's recommendation, the UN General Assembly declared 1999 the International Year of Older Persons. The International Day of Older Persons is celebrated on 1st October every year. Action on behalf of the aging continued in 2022 when the Second World Assembly on Aging was held in Madrid, aiming to the design international policy on aging for the 21st century. It adopted a political declaration and the Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging. The plan of action called for changes in attitudes, policies, and practices at all levels to fulfill the enormous potential of aging in the 21st century. Its specific recommendations for action give priority to the older persons and developed advancing health and well-being into old age, ensuring, enabling, and supportive environments. So this International Day of Older Persons, as it points out the various issues related to aging population. When we look at the background of the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, it is designated as 15th June, was initiated by the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, INPEA, in 2006 and recognized as a United Nations Day by General Assembly through its resolution 66 by 127 adopted in 2011. The resolution invites all member states, organizations in the United Nations system and other international and regional organizations, as well as civil society, including non-governmental organizations and individuals, to observe this day in an appropriate manner. A violation of older people's human rights, according to the World Health Organization, elder abuse can be defined as a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within the relationship when there is expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. Elder abuse can take various forms such as physical, psychological or emotional, sexual and financial abuse. It can also be the result of intentional or unintentional neglect. In many parts of the world, elder abuse occurs with little recognition or response. Until recently, this serious social problem was hidden from the public view and considered mostly a private matter. But even today, elder abuse continues to be a taboo, mostly underestimated and ignored by societies across the world. Evidence is accumulating, however, to indicate the elder abuse is an important public health and societal problem. A 2017 study based on the best available evidences from 52 studies in 28 countries from diverse regions, including 12 low and middle income countries, estimated that over the past year, 15.7% of the people aged 60 years and older were subjected to some form of abuse. This is likely to be an underestimation, as only 1 in 24 cases of elder abuse is reported. In part, older people are often afraid to report cases of abuse to family, friends, or to authorities. Consequently, any prevalence rates are likely to be underestimated. Although rigorous data are limited, the study provides pooled prevalence estimates of number of older people affected by different types of abuse. Psychological abuse, 11.6%, financial abuse, 6.8%, neglect, 4.2%, physical abuse, 2.6%, sexual abuse, 0.9%. Globally, the number of cases of elder abuse is projected to increase as many countries have rapidly aging population whose needs may not be fully met due to resource constraints. It is predicted that by the year 2050, the global population of the people aged 60 years and the older will more than double from 900 million in 2015 to about 2 billion, with the vast majority of older people living in the low and middle income countries. If the proportion of elder abuse victims remain constant, the number of victims will increase rapidly due to population aging, growing to 320 million victims by 2050. So apart from United Nations, various United Nations systems also work on various aging systems like Global Issues on Aging by United Nations and United Nations Population Fund on Aging and United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, and Older Persons, United Nations Principle for Older Persons, independent expert on the enjoyment of all human rights by the older persons, and World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which is commemorated today, is conducted by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights along with the UN systems. And also World Bank also on population ages 65 and above, World Health Organization on aging, and also elder abuse, and United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs on aging, as well as coordinating World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And there are few related commemorations and observations related to this, which are International Year of Older Persons, which was commemorated in 1999, and UN conferences on aging, UN conferences on population, International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, International Day of Families, Global Day of Parents, International Day of Older Persons, Human Rights Day, 10th December, International Universal Health Coverage Day. So these are the various UN and UN member systems that are working on similar aging and aging population. So the United Nations, as mentioned, coordinates its work with the funds, programs, specialized agencies, and other organizations in the UN system. The United Nations itself is one of the part of the UN system. Cooperation between these UN and other entities of the UN system is essential in order to achieve the purpose of the organization laid in the UN Charter. Since its charter was written, the United Nations has been mandated to do work which was not envisioned at the time of its creation. The organization has set goals to build a more sustainable world, and it has agreed to collective action to slow down climate change. As the population and as the problems facing humanity have grown, the work of the United Nations also has grown. World Health Organization work on the UN Decade of Healthy Aging, which is commemorated as 2021 to 2030. The role of World Health Organization is a global collaboration aligned with the last 10 years of the Sustainable Development Goals to improve the lives of older people, their families, and the communities in which they live. The World Health Organization was also asked to lead the implementation of the decade in collaboration with the other UN organizations and serves as a decade secretariat. Governments, international and regional organizations, civil society, the private sector, academia, and the media are encouraged to actively contribute to the achieving the decade's goals through direct action, partnering with others, and by participating in the healthy aging collaborative. To foster healthy aging and improve the lives of older people, their families and communities, fundamental shifts will be required not only in the actions we take, but in how we think about age and aging. The decade will address 4 areas of action: age-friendly environments, combating ageism, integrated care, and long-term care. Age-friendly environments are better places in which to grow, live, work, play, and age. We can create them by addressing the social determinants of the healthy aging and enable all people, irrespective of their level of physical or mental capacity, to continue to do things they value and live dignified lives. Within the action area, World Health Organization works with its member states at national and local levels to develop age-friendly cities and communities, including through supporting the global network for age-friendly cities and communities. Combating ageism. Ageism is stereotyping how we think, prejudice how we feel, and discrimination how we act towards people on the basis of their age. It affects people of all ages, but has particularly negative effects on the health and well-being of older people. Within this action area, World Health Organization is working to change how we think, feel, and act towards the age and aging by generating evidence on aging, building a goal coalition, and to combat ageism and developing tools and resources that can be used by others to take action. Older people require a comprehensive set of services to prevent, slow, or reverse declines in their physical and mental capacities. These services need to be delivered to meet the person's needs, person-centered, coordinated between different health and social care providers, and avoid causing the user financial hardship. Within this area, World Health Organization supports its member states to understand, design, and implement a person-centered integrated model of care by producing evidence, guidance, and resource packages. Many older people experience declines in their physical and mental capacity, which means they can no longer care for themselves without support and assistance. Access to good quality long-term care is essential for these people to maintain their functional ability, enjoy basic human rights, and live with dignity. Within the action area, World Health Organization works to provide technical support to countries for conducting national situation analysis of long-term care towards implementing a minimum package of long-term care as part of universal health coverage. So the UN Decade of Healthy Aging requires a whole of government and the whole of society response that seeks to do business differently towards transformative and positive change for older people, their families, and communities. The decade calls for action for 4 enablers to be integrated in the effort to shift the status quo. The Decade Knowledge Platform convenes support stakeholders to work these enablers, like voice and meaningful management. Meaningful engagement with older people themselves is critical to each of the decade's action areas, as they are the agents of change as well as the service beneficiaries. Their voices must be heard, their dignity and autonomy respected, respected and their human rights promoted and protected. World Health Organizations to enable voice and meaningful engagement for the decade by developing and supporting others to use innovative methodologies for amplifying voices, empowering them to influence the implementation of the decade. Fostering healthy aging and reducing inequality requires effective governance and leadership across all sectors at all administrative levels. Capacity building supports different stakeholders develop the relevant competencies needed to ensure that older people experience health and well-being and enjoy their human rights. World Health Organization works to build leadership and capacity for the decade by developing learning opportunities, mentorship programs, and other tools that can help create a global community of change agents. Connecting stakeholders, the more stakeholders are brought together across sectors and disciplines, the greater the possibility they have for leveraging resources, sharing learning and experience, supporting diffusion of policy and concrete action. World Health Organization works to connect diverse stakeholders for the decade by running the platform, a digital multilingual collaboration space, convening the healthy aging, collaborative, and connecting the existing and upcoming structures and partnerships that address the aspects of aging and health. Strengthening data, research, and innovation, older people are not homogeneous group, and data must be produced and disaggregated to better understand issues affecting their health and well-being. Strengthening data and research is a key step towards informing and driving national and local actions that foster healthy aging. World Health Organization works to strengthen data, research, and innovation decade by maintaining an aging data portal, building evidence base for under-prioritized issues, and developing a measurement and monitoring framework for healthy aging. As process of this, World Health Organization works on cross-cutting issues like on various issues like human behavior, abuse of older people, health interventions using assistive technologies, diseases and conditions like dementia, population and demographics like disability in aged population, injuries, falls and accidents in aged population, physical activity in human behavior, health systems, including palliative care and hospice, and health interventions, rehabilitation, and other issues like social isolation and loneliness. So let's all together join the movement to transform the world to be a better place to grow older. Longer lives are one of the humanity's greatest achievements, but longer lives are not yet healthier lives for all. We have the opportunity to change this. It's time to work together to make sure that we all have chance to maximize our later years for current and future generations, no matter where we live. It is the UN Decade of Healthy Aging. So let's all together join us on the call for the decade. So let's watch a small video.
When it comes to aging, we can learn a lot from nature. Consider a tree. As it grows, its rings expand outwards, telling the years gone by. But those rings tell more than just time. If you look between the lines, you will also see how the tree's habitat and living conditions have impacted its life. The healthier the ecosystem, the more it will have thrived. We humans are no different. As we age, our physical and social environment provide us with vital resources: access to healthcare and proper nutrition, opportunities in education and employment. Safe housing and supportive communities become the roots that nourish our development and well-being. So what happens when we grow older if our environment does not sustain us? Just like a tree, our health declines and we struggle to flourish. Over time, we may become disconnected and a burden to others. The UN Decade of Healthy Aging aims to give everyone the opportunity to add life to years, wherever they may live. A transformative collaboration of diverse sectors and organizations, the decade focuses on changing how we think, feel, and act towards aging, cultivating age-friendly environments, creating responsive healthcare systems and services, and promoting long-term care and support essential to living with meaning and dignity. By adding quality to quantity, we give all people the chance to lead a meaningful life, no matter their age. And that includes you, and you, and you, and me. Together, we can make every year count, not by the numbers, but how we live and grow in between.
Abuse of older people, also known as elder abuse, is an intentional act or a failure to act by a caregiver or any other person or another person in a relationship involving an expectation of trust that causes harm to an adult 60 years and older. Around 1 in 6 people 60 years and older experience some form of abuse in community settings during a past year. Rates in institutional settings such as nursing homes and long-term care facilities are higher still, with 2 in 3 staff reporting that they have committed abuse in the past year. Even if rates remain constant, the absolute number of older people experiencing abuse is predicted to increase as the global population of older people increases. Abuse of older people can lead to serious physical injuries and long-term psychological consequences, increased risk of nursing home placement, use of emergency services, hospitalization, and premature death. Promising strategies to prevent and respond to abuse of older people include caregiver interventions, which provide services to relieve the burden of caregiving, money management programs for older adults vulnerable to financial exploitation, helplines and emergency shelters, and multidisciplinary teams, as the responses required often cut across many systems, including, for instance, criminal justice, healthcare, mental health care, adults protective services, and long-term care. So we will end the commemoration here. And if you have any queries or observations, or if you have any experiences where you have witnessed abuse, you can raise your hand if you want to discuss, so that we can have few minutes of interaction. If there is none, then we'll move on to other commemorations. So abuse can be in any form, especially it may be related to physical, psychological, emotional, and various other purposes. So let's look at the prevention aspect. Many strategies especially have been implemented to prevent abuse of older people, taken action against it and mitigate its consequences. Interventions that have implemented mainly in high-income countries to prevent abuse include public and professional awareness campaigns, screening of potential victims and abusers, school-based intergenerational programs, caregiver support interventions, including stress management and respite care, residential care policies to define and improve standards of care, caregiver training on dementia, money management programs, multidisciplinary teams, and efforts to respond and prevent further abuse includes interventions such as mandatory reporting of abuse to authorities, self-help groups, safe houses and emergency shelters, psychological programs for abusers, helplines to provide information and referrals, and caregiver support interventions. So these are the few strategies that can be implemented to prevent abuse to older people. And World Health Organization response to this on 15 June 2022, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, World Health Organizations and partners published Tackling Abuse of Older People, 5 priorities for the UN Decade of Healthy Aging 2021 to 2030, the United Nations Decade of Healthy Aging 2021 to 2030 is a unique chance of a step change in the way abuse of older people tackled. It offers an opportunity to address abuse of other people in a more concentrated, sustained and coordinated way and to rescue the number of older people worldwide who experience abuse. The document outlines 5 priorities arrived at the wide consultation to prevent and respond to the abuse of older people, which are combating ageism, generating more and better data on prevalence and risk on protective factors, developing and scaling up cost-effective solutions for the abuse of older people, making an investment case for addressing the issue, and raising funds for tackling abuse of older people. So World Health Organization's response to abuse of older people will be organized according to these 5 priorities. If governments, UN agencies and development organizations, civil society organizations, academic and research institutions and funders implement these priorities, we can finally start to prevent abuse of older people globally and contribute to improving their health, well-being and dignity. So this week is also commemorated as National Nursing Assistants Week in US, which is generally celebrated or commemorated on Thursday of the second full week of June, honoring the hard work of assistant nurses. So certified nursing assistants began working on the Red Cross program during the World War I and has served alongside US Army nurses. Hundreds of young women were trained to care for the wounded soldiers in reserve, field, base, and civilian hospitals. Before 1987, nursing assistants were not required to have any formal education. The term nurse derives from the Latin word nurtire, which means to suckle. Nursing was originally referred to as a wet nurse, but by the late 16th century, it has evolved to mean a person who cares for the sick. The first known documents mentioning nursing as a profession were found to be written in approximately 300 AD. The Roman Empire attempted to build a hospital in each town, increasing the demand for nurses in the West. This is especially with the Western medicine. But in our Ayurveda, we have mention of this since thousands of years ago, even before the modern medicine has come up. So nursing became more popular in Europe during the Middle Ages because the Catholic Church pushed for medical care in the West, and the innovations of the time altered the foundation of modern nursing. Because of changes in the European rule between 10th and 11th centuries, the nursing profession expanded and hospitals were integrated into monasteries and other religious institutions, and nurses provided patients with a variety of medical services. With the closure of monasteries in the 17th century, nursing as a profession fell out of favor. This was revised and revived in the 19th century after Florence Nightingale emphasized nursing as an ideal for profession of females after she and a group of nurses reduced the mortality rate during British Crimean War. Nightingale single-handedly changed the nursing profession. So this was the story of the West of nursing profession. Initially, when we look back, the nursing school, as in Western medicine, the first nursing school was established in India in the lines of Western practices, and it was only open to male students initially. In 1873, Linda Richards became the first American to earn a nursing degree, that is nursing diploma. Because she noticed that the doctors and nurse reports were verbal and confusing, she incorporated written records into a standard nursing care, and Richards invented written patient records. So the World Health Organization designated 2020 as a year of nurse and midwife. The first American nurse, only 4 out of 42 students who have enrolled in the nursing school graduated, and Mary Eliza Mahoney was one of them, making her the first African American nurse. We sometimes take nurses for granted, not realizing that their job is critical to the survival and if our lives are threatened. So this week we recognize the dedication of the nurses for their contributions to saving countless lives throughout the history. It's a way of saying thank you all for their hard work and historic times to now. Today is also commemorated as Nature Photography Day and is a day to learn more about nature and enjoy capturing it at its very best over the warmer summer months in the West. So nature is all about around us, and we can take part wherever we are with whatever equipment we have. Nowadays, with mobiles, with high resolution cameras, we can capture even through mobiles. When people are now making movies and documentaries through mobiles. So the latest iPhone is especially designed to make short films. And even there are, if you visit the iPhone Apple website, you can see there are movies that has been, captured, through the iPhone series mobiles. So you can see the settings and you can learn if you have an iPhone, or for that matter, any high-end mobile phone, which is capable of capturing the high detail of image and as well as the video, then you can create wonders. So whether you are a professional photographer or you have never captured nature before, we have some inspiring ideas and fun facts to make you snap this Nature Photography Day. Nature has been something to celebrate since the beginning of the time, but before the invention of the camera, nature enthusiasts had to document what they observed very different. One of the earliest and most significant accounts of the nature history in the West was Pliny the Younger's account of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius that engulfed the ancient Rome town of Pompeii in 79 AD. Two letters penned by Pliny are the only surviving eyewitness accounts of what happened that day and formed important evidence in the study of natural history as well as ancient civilizations. Early naturalists mainly documented nature for its medicinal purposes with varying levels of accuracy. There were numerous beliefs in healing properties of plants and nature cures and natural cures, some true and some mere superstitious or based on beliefs. Nevertheless, naturalists recorded their recipes and documented the properties of plants throughout the medieval period. And during the Renaissance, their understanding of nature began to improve gradually. A major breakthrough came in 1800s when the naturalist and scientist Charles Darwin published the landmark text on the origin of species, outlining his theories of evolution and this evidence he has collected to support them. Though this Charles Darwin theory of evolution is not new, thousands and thousands of years back, we have this theory, or we cannot call it as a theory, but Dashavatara, the incarnations of Lord Vishnu. There are many avatars or incarnations of Lord Sri Mahavishnu, but these 10 are very significant. The same has been replicated by Charles Darwin in his theory of evolution. Now we have seen, our ancient scripts have given almost everything. There is nothing to invent now. What all we are inventing is the discoveries of what we lost in the past over a period of time. Though it was a very controversial work due to its contradictions to even the Bible creation story, and because he urged that the man has descended from apes, which many people were uncomfortable with. Around the same time, scientists were developing the camera, which Darwin put to use as part of his studies. So Darwin's work was the start of great leaps in our understanding of the nature and the foundation of natural history. The North American Nature Photography Association created Nature Photography Day in 2006 to encourage people to learn about and enjoy capturing the beauty of the nature. So, Nice uses a very small camera of his own making and a piece of paper coated with silver chloride to take the first successful photograph in the West in 1860. So, since then, we can see the records of cameras and capturing. Nature is present in all natural beings and things like the weather, trees, flowers, insects. Once you start looking, you will realize it's everywhere, including even in our homes. Maybe it might be in the form of insects or ants, or in the form of lizards, or in the form of butterflies, or anything around the house or around the yard. So take a picture that will make the person looking at it feeling something, and that represents how you feel when you look at the scene in front of you. So whether you are in the countryside or in the middle of a city, nature is everywhere. It's up to you whether you take a quick picture on your phone or spend the day seeking out the perfect composition, but make sure you are taking at least a picture of nature today and share in your social media and circles and promote this embracing the nature. With just a sheet of paper and some aluminum foil, you can make your own pinhole camera and understand the basics of incredible technology we use every day. So if you don't have a camera, you can make a pinhole camera by yourself at home or office, wherever you are. So take some time to go online or a gallery to find a book with some inspiring photographs of nature. Professional nature photographers have captured some truly breathtaking things. You can also visit some free photograph websites or photos and videos websites like Pixabay, where you can download wonderful natural images and you can embrace them by using it as a wallpaper on your devices. So some interesting facts about animals or nature. Ever wondered why owls can turn their heads so far? They developed excellent neck flexibility because their eyes are tube-shaped, meaning their vision can't swivel like our eyeballs can. So we can see the owls can rotate its head almost to the maximum. Sharks may look terrifying, but they only account for approximately 4 human fatalities per year. So they are not that deadly. Although snakes are often seen as lone predators, research suggests the garter snakes are incredibly social and form human-like friendships, where they can recognize one another and enjoy spending time together. So if you have a snake friend, embrace it. According to research carried out by the Queen Mary University of London, goats pick up accents from one another despite not having a distinct language of their own. African buffalo are known to make a group decision on their direction of travel. Adult females of a herd stand up one by one and indicate their preferred direction of travel, and the one with the most vote wins. Have you ever observed? If not, observe. Watch a video on National Geographic Channel or Discovery or Animal Planet and just observe whether how far this phenomena is true with African buffaloes. So it's easy to take part, as already mentioned. You can take a photograph of nature wherever you are using your simplest of cameras or mobiles and end up with a beautiful photograph to treasure forever. And nature is all around us, and the most ordinarily seeming things are truly incredible when you understand how they work in nature's plan. So with our busy lives, it can be hard to stop and really look and appreciate our surroundings. But Nature Photography Day encourages us to appreciate the beauty and power of nature. Even if you don't see anything around, you might be having some plants which are grown in your home or kitchen or balcony. You can take photo of a plant or a leaf or a similar thing. So with this, we shall conclude this Nature Photography Day commemoration. Today is also commemorated as National Prune Day in United States. And these prunes, that is dried plums, have many health benefits. Prunes are incredibly rich in fiber, vitamin A, and cancer-fighting antioxidants. They are also good for your vision and digestion. It also helps prevent muscular degeneration and night blindness. But don't be deceived. There are many ways to eat this fruit. If you are not a fan of its texture, discover different ways to consume them, from cakes, juices, salads, and you can be as much as creative in incorporating prunes into your diet. Prunes actually originated in China. The Chinese cultivated white plums where they processed them for sour plums to sweet fruit using molasses and brown sugar. They dried under the sun before turning into prickly fruit we all know today. The sugar acts as a preservative, which makes them last longer. These fruits are used as stock food items in case their harvest is poor, as well as snacks and meal replacements for travelers. The popularity of prunes quickly reached the Mediterranean and Northern Europe. The Romans planted the first and most popular variety of prune, which is blue little plum. It was first harvested in Narbonne province, which quickly extended to modern-day Quercy. The grafting of prunes occurred in 12th century when Benedictine monks returned from the Third Crusade and brought new varieties from Syria. They grafted the Syrian Damas variety with the local ones, producing a new variety called Prune d'Anti. This new variety has a fine waxy and powdery layer that quickly adapted to the southwest soil, making it a staple harvest for the locals. Its immense demand rose from the 17th century to the end of 19th century when it was deemed a superfood by food experts. It became a staple for sailors and navy personnel as they were packed with vitamins and minerals, giving them energy for the entire day. Later on, they started incorporating prunes with a batter made of flour and eggs. This recipe is now known as famous Britain for ox prunogs. In contemporary times, prunes are now promoted by health experts and dietitians to people who have digestive problems, low blood sugar, and patients with vitamin A deficiency. There are over 1,000 varieties of plums that come as dried or packaged. Some plum growers changed the name of prunes to dried plums as approved by US FDA to avoid the perception that they are only consumed to relieve constipation. The cultivation of plums into prunes depends on the soil, climate, and growing region. Not all plums can be prunes. Better can be swapped with pureed prunes in baking, which is ideal for vegan cakes. So butter is a replacement for prunes. Despite its sweetness, prunes only contain 20 calories. Today is also commemorated as National Career Nurse Assistants Day. Which is similar to the commemoration we have done. And today is also commemorated as National Megalodon Day. It is one of the largest apex predators to have ever existed. It's no wonder why this mega-toothed shark continues to fascinate and dominate imaginations. This shark ruled the oceans for over 20 million years, and its enormous serrated teeth, all 276 of them, ensured a spot at the top of the food chain. What happened to this prehistoric shark? Does it still lurk in the depths of the ocean? Let's see, may not be, because we are there, human beings who are preying and hunting on almost all the species, and many of them become extinct. Let's explore if at least one of them has left from the human beings. The earliest megalodon fossils dates back to 20 million years ago. The megalodon was the ruler of the seas until becoming extinct 3.6 million years ago. It was not just the world's largest shark, but also the world's largest fish. You might wonder how large it was. Well, it was between 49 and 59 feet long. At the very least, that is a minimum length, 59 feet length. For perspective, that's 3 times longer than the largest great white shark ever documented. Now let's talk about those teeth which we were mentioning. Scientists have found fossils with megalodon teeth that are at least 7 inches long. Fun fact, the word megalodon actually means large tooth. So it's safe to say that pearly whites take precedence in any megalodon discussion. A fish this large needed to eat a lot of food. The enormous serrated teeth would have torn through any type of meat. Scientists believe that megalodon ate large prey from dolphins and other sharks to humpback whales. Their jaws could open big enough to swallow 2 adult humans side by side. So scientists haven't discovered an entire megalodon skeleton yet, while several reconstructions having it looking like a bigger version of the great white shark. This is largely incorrect. For a long time, many people believed the two were related. Current research debunks this theory. The megalodon comes from a different shark lineage of which it was last surviving member. Could the megalodon be living somewhere in the depths of the ocean still? Highly unlikely, because still there are a large portion of ocean which is unexplored. We can't say, but as far as we know, the answer is highly unlikely. We know for a fact that the megalodon became extinct when their temperatures started cooling 2.6 million years ago. We are not sure exactly when or how, but these are theories. So we need to verify. Cooler temperatures may have destroyed their habitat. Perhaps prey went extinct and accelerated the megalodon's extinction. And megalodon populations stretch across the globe from the Mediterranean and Caribbean seas to the Bay of Bengal and Australia. In 2019, the Smithsonian installs a 52 feet long model of a massive female megalodon. Charker-Cole's megalodon is a member of an extinct megatooth shark species. Scientists believe that the sharks are much older than dinosaurs. The megalodon belongs to the lamnoid shark lineage. This group includes the mako, thresher, and the great white sharks. Evidence from the megalodon bite marks on fossil whales suggests that they are targeted vital organs. They may have also rammed into prey to stun or crush it. The enormous serrated teeth could effortlessly bite through bones. There's a ton of fascinating megalodon research online. You can read. Today is a good day to counter misinformation regarding the megalodon, mainly that monster shark still lives. Share research and studies help replace the myth with scientific facts. And these great white sharks live and hunt in every ocean except for Antarctica, and they live almost everywhere. Their torpedo-like bodies can swim up to 35 miles per hour and are super swimmers. Great white can smell even the smallest drops of blood from 5 kilometers away. So it has a great nose for the blood. And their blood has high concentrations of mercury and arsenic that would kill any another animal. So that the blood is highly toxic. Great whites prefer roaming alone and will happily make a meal of smaller sharks. And it's not a social animal. And megalodon fossils contains key to significant historical periods. In understanding the megalodon, we have better insights into our world. Today is also commemorated as National Bug Busting Day in UK. So this day encourages families to check their kids for nits on National Bug Busting Day and helps reduce the incidence of lice and potential to spread via classrooms. Head lice can affect anyone at any age, but these pesky creatures most frequently prey on children between 4 and 11. Although they are not particularly dangerous, they certainly cause a lot of irritation and distress. Because you can't easily spot head lice eggs, combing wet hair with a special comb lets you catch nits early and remove them before they hatch and make their way to other people. This method avoids harsh insecticides and can help prevent outbreaks in schools. Around 5,000 UK schools participate in this program, sending their students home with educational information and bug-busting kits. The bug-busting method recommends using a specialized fine-tooth comb to comb through wet, conditioned hair, which removes any lice and eggs, nits clinging to the strands. The painstaking method is time-consuming but avoids harsh insecticides. The CHC recommends that educators and parents use specific dates several times throughout the year to focus on louse prevention in their classrooms and groups for the most effective results. So National Bug Busting Day aims to make louse prevention interesting and fun for kids, teachers, and parents with engaging materials, stickers, and activity kits that highlight the importance of catching head lice early and maintaining a good hygiene. So the bug busting refers to a specific method for detecting and eradicating head lice that uses a specifically designed comb and a regular shampoo and a conditioner to find and remove lice. Taking part in bug busting activities at the same time can help prevent outbreaks in schools and other groups. Although they can cause irritation and itchiness, head lice do not spread or transmit any diseases. The lice that infest humans and those that affect dogs and cats are different species. So if you or your child get head lice, don't worry, at least you can't pass them on to your furry family members. Even without fur or hair, penguins can be afflicted with up to 15 species of lice. Having regular bug-busting days can help reduce lice in an entire population and prevent them from being passed on. Using the bug buster comb and regular conditioner can eliminate head lice without the need to resort to harsh insecticides. Head lice can affect anyone regardless of your cleanliness or hygiene. Most head lice are found in children ages 4 to 11 and can be passed on by close contact. And finally, today, we have one more important commemoration, that is Global Wind Day, which is celebrated on June 15th every year. It is an international event to raise awareness regarding the importance of wind energy and the power it holds to change the world, improving synergy systems and decarbonize economies. Investing in wind energy means spending less money on fossil fuel imports, resulting in a smaller carbon footprint and minimize CO2 for cleaner air on our planet. On this day, we learn not just about how wind power leads to greener planet, but also about job creation and employment opportunities for many people. The history of wind energy as a powerful source traces back to thousands of years where we had windmills especially to draw water from mills and to grind and various other purposes. Even we see this mention of windmills in India since ancient times, since 5000 BC, and even in Egypt and Chinese and various other older civilizations. It wasn't until 1st century the Heron of Alexandria created the windmill in the West. According to the historians, this was the first recorded wind-driven wheel in the West to power a machine. It included a small windmill that powered a piston that forces aids through the organ pipes. According to the records, it made a sound like that of a flute. In the Middle Ages, windmills became a popular device. In India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq, they were used to pump water and grind sugarcane, which eventually boosted their grist milling industry. This technology was ultimately brought to northwestern Europe in 1180 and became a popular tool to grind flour, a system that still exists up to date. Even today also we can see in some places windmills are used to grind the flour. Instead of flour mills, these mechanized and modernized flour mills. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, colonists brought windmills to the United States. Homesteaders and ranchers installed thousands of water pumps and small wind electric generations in Western America. The possibilities of wind power were further explored due to oil shortages in 1970s. This forced everyone to find an alternative source of energy to generate electricity. Due to this scarcity, the US federal government installed thousands of wind turbines in California to encourage use of energy renewable sources. By 2020, the US share of electricity generation via wind power grew to 8.4%, a huge spike compared to 1990's 1%. Northwestern Europe uses vertical mill wheels to grind flour since 1180s. About 2,500 windmills in Denmark produce a combined power of 30 megawatts used to grind grains and pump water since 1900s. So there are three types of wind energy that are utility scale wind, offshore wind, and distributed wind. There are 4 manufacturers in the world that uses wind turbines, that is Vestas in Denmark, Siemens Gamesa in Spain, Goldwind China, and General Electric US. They have these wind turbines through which electricity is generated and is consumed in their production. China uses the most wind power, generating approximately 236,402 megawatts in 2019 alone. So this day, fly a kite outside. This may sound like a simple activity, but flying kite outside is an effective way to explain to your kids how wind energy works. Discuss how wind power propels the kite to stay afloat in the air. It is also a great bonding activity, both fun and educational. The climate crisis is speaking. Wind energy is the future. Attend seminars on Global Wind Day like this to learn more about the benefits and new technologies of the wind energy as an alternative power source. Educating yourself is the key. Raise awareness about wind energy and its benefit, and keep your family and friends in the loop about one of the most pivotal solutions to decarbonizing the planet. The wind industry employs 650,000 people in different capacities around the world and solves employment problems. The first modern turbine was built in Vermont, US. One commercial wind turbine can provide power to 600 homes. The largest wind turbine was created in Hawaii, which stands 20 stories tall, and each blade is as long as a football field, the largest wind turbine. and it doesn't need water. Wind energy is the only power source that doesn't need water or any other resource except wind. And with the rise of global warming and other crises, wind energy is one solution to help lessen pollutants, and its long-term effects are advantageous to the new generation and to the generations that will come after. People need to be proactive in highlighting the benefits of wind energy so that companies, governments, and other industries will adopt this technology as an alternative power source. The only way to make them proactive is to raise awareness, and education is the key. So this Global Wind Day helps us support the cost of effectiveness of wind energy, and it's one of the lowest priced energy sources known today, which could potentially lower federal taxes. So let's watch few videos to learn about how this wind energy works.
How do offshore wind turbines generate electricity? You probably know that wind turbines produce electricity from wind, but how do they do it? Let's take a look at this particular offshore wind turbine. Sensors on top of the turbine measure the wind speed and direction. They signal the yaw motors in which direction to turn in order to point the nose in the wind. The kinetic energy in the wind causes the blades to rotate. The rotor drives a low-speed shaft, and by using a gearbox, the speed of the shaft is amplified. This high-speed shaft drives a generator which converts kinetic energy into electricity. A frequency converter synchronizes the generated electricity to the grid. Subsequently, a transformer amps up the voltage before electricity is transmitted. It then goes through subsea cables to a substation to which several arrays of wind turbines are connected. At this substation, the voltage amps up even more to minimize transmission losses. Finally, it is then transmitted into the mainland power grid. From the main power grid, the energy can be used to power hospitals, charge electric vehicles, or simply turn on light bulbs. And this is how offshore wind turbines generate electricity. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
Understanding low-level system design is extremely important in order to build scalable, robust apps.
What to choose? Vertical or horizontal axis turbines? When you imagine a wind turbine, you probably think about something like this. But there are other designs out there, like the vertical axis wind turbine, or VAT in short. The Savonius model is very crude and was already used by the Persians 3,500 years ago. Then there is the Darius model, with blades revolving around a vertical shaft. Each blade gets hit by the wind at a different angle. They make use of an airfoil design, so they generate lift to make the turbine rotate. A generator at the bottom of the structure converts the kinetic energy into electricity. The VATs are omnidirectional. They do not need a yaw mechanism to be pointed into the wind. Also, compared to horizontal turbines, VATs can be grouped closer together, because they can operate in a turbulent and gusty wind. So why don't we see more VATs then? Well, VATs tend to be less reliable and less efficient than horizontal turbines. This makes them less suited for large-scale energy production. But the field is still under development, so who knows? We hope you enjoyed this short lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
Why are wind turbines white? Did you ever take the time to wonder about the white color of wind turbines? There's more to it than you might expect. The white color is considered neutral and non-intrusive. It almost completely blends with a cloudy background when seen from below. And seen from above, international aviation laws require large structures to be white to make them visible for pilots. This law also requires wind farms to use obstacle lighting for maximum effect. On top of this, the white paint is a layer of protection. It protects the wind turbine from weather conditions to prevent rust, and reflects the sun, which heats up the composite and steel. If the turbine would be black, the thermal energy of the sun would cause the structure to grow and deform. But in the world of wind turbines, it's not all black or white. For example, the boat landing of offshore wind turbines needs to be bright yellow, and some onshore turbines use green stripes on the base to match the grass. Apart from these details, wind turbines will remain largely white. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel. Why are we not yet ready to fully switch to solar and wind? During the energy transition towards renewables, we in the Netherlands rely more on the use of gas than you might expect. Why? The demand for electric energy varies over the course of a day. Network and power companies are constantly turning dials. They use so-called load-following power plants to match the production to the demand. But dials won't work for electric energy from solar and wind, since they are dependent on weather conditions. The larger the stake of renewables in our energy mix, the quicker and more abruptly the load-following power plants must react to the absence or abundance of sun or wind. Unlike coal, oil, and nuclear power, gas turbines can be adjusted relatively rapidly by simply changing the amount of gas pumped into the turbine. And this is why we are still dependent on gas in combination with renewables to move towards a sustainable future. How would you tackle the challenge of the energy transition? We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel. Why is wind energy subsidized? When you use electricity, you pay the energy company per kilowatt hour. Energy companies pay electricity producers the market value, similar to a supermarket paying a farmer. The cost of electricity is determined by the construction cost of the facilities and the operational costs. For electricity from wind, the operational costs are low, but the construction costs are high. The total cost of wind energy is currently higher than the market value. The gap is bridged by subsidies. The subsidies give the opportunity to gain experience and innovate, to eventually decrease the construction costs of wind farms, until no more subsidies are needed. This will result in cheaper electricity from a limitless and free supply. Apart from lower energy prices, more wind energy also helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and gives a country more energy independence. Did you know fossil fuels also get subsidized? We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
If you are running a business where you are the one who's managing operations, sales, marketing.
The original windmills that decorate the typical Dutch horizon have 4 blades. So why do modern wind turbines have 3? Every blade extracts kinetic energy from the wind and exerts torque, like a wrench. The longer the blade, the higher the torque. And more blades equals more torque, you might say. The more blades, the more they experience each other's wake, thus reducing the power extracted from the wind. So that's why modern wind turbines went from 4 to 3 blades. Offshore, it might even be advantageous to have just 2 blades. Just imagine how much easier the installation of a wind farm could be. To extract the same amount of energy as a 3-blade rotor, the 2-blade rotor needs to rotate faster, which has consequences for the structural and aerodynamic design. Did you know that pioneers are trying to realize this innovation as we speak? Are you a believer of the 2-blade concept? We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel. Support structure for wind turbines. What's below the surface? Wind turbines at sea need a way to keep them above water. Several types of support structures can do the job. Let's take a closer look at the quote-unquote industry favorite. Its elegant and simple design make it a cost-effective solution for shallow to intermediate water depths, such as the North Sea. But to maintain a strong and stiff structure with heavier turbines and deeper waters, the monopile must be longer, wider, and thicker. The fabrication, transportation, and installation become limiting factors. For deeper waters, an alternative method is the floating support. Rather than a fixed solution, a floating platform is connected from sea surface to seabed with anchor lines. You might imagine that the stability of the structure is a challenge. We are looking at a long stick with a heavy topmass. For the deeper offshore sites, this new technology could be an economically viable solution. Want to know more about turbine support structures? Read about it on our website. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel. When we produce more electricity than we need from wind, can we store that electricity? The first thing that comes to mind is probably batteries. But 99% of all energy storage is done with pumped storage hydroelectricity, which is basically an elevated lake. When energy is needed, the water is led into hydro turbines to make electricity. But when there is an abundance of energy, the turbines reverse and are used as pumps to pump up water into the elevated lake, making it a giant mechanical battery. Pumped storage hydroelectricity is a large-scale solution. However, natural elevation and a huge water supply are needed. An emerging and small-scale technology is a home battery system. For example, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries in the Tesla Powerwall. To make batteries usable for the multi-megawatt wind turbines, however, you would have to upscale them quite a bit. The fact is that energy storage plays a crucial part in the energy transition. There are many other ways to store energy. Read more about this on our website. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Click here to see our earlier video about balancing the grid and how to match power demand to power supply. And make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
Hi, how anyone can start export-import business in 2023 and how it is possible. There are three categories of people.
The blades of a wind turbine capture the energy of the wind, but how do they do it? Let's take a look at the section view of a blade. It shows a wing profile, just like the wings of airplanes. The shape of the blade is what makes the wind turbines rotate, but only if the angle of attack is right. By pitching the blade into the wind, the blade generates lift. The direction of the airflow is a combination of the wind and the airflow caused by the rotation of the rotor. And this is where the wind turbines differ from airplanes. Near the blade root, the radial velocity of the blade is low. But near the blade tip, the radial velocity of offshore turbines can be as high as 80 meters per second. That is 8 times faster than Usain Bolt during a 200-meter sprint. This is why the tip of the blade is twisted into the direction of the airflow. It ensures the right angle of attack to harvest as much energy from the wind as possible. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Want to know why turbines have 3 blades? Click here to watch our previous video in our 60-second series, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
Did you know that wind energy is already 3,500 years around? Hammurabi in the 17th century before Christ was the first to use windmills for irrigation. The Dutch used windmills to pump water and create polders. Around 1650, the Dutch already had an accumulated installed base of 7.5 megawatts of windmills, and it provided 33% of all the power capacity. By the end of the 19th century, the Danish scientist Paul Lecour used windmills to bring electricity to farmsteads, and today we end up in offshore wind, in which we have very much bigger and complex turbines, up to 8 megawatts apiece. Wind is used for over 3,500 years, but now finally in competition with all other energy sources.
What is the ecological impact of wind turbines? Wind energy is a relatively clean alternative for fossil fuels, as they do not emit greenhouse gases during operation. But they do affect nature in other ways too. Wind farms affect the natural migration routes of birds and bats, and the rotating blades form a deadly hazard for birds. Then again, it's proven that wind turbines form a significantly smaller threat compared to cats. Sea life flourishes due to the absence of fishery near wind farms. And the artificial reefs created by the foundation of the structures can even lead to an increase in species diversity. Still, the construction of offshore wind farms generates noise that poses a potential threat to fish and marine mammals, like seals and whales. Environmental organizations stress the importance of proper research, careful site selection, and noise mitigation during installation. But they also see the potential in concepts for multi-use wind farms, like producing seaweed or mussels for human consumption. We hope you enjoyed our 60-second lecture. Would you like to know more about offshore energy? Click here to see more of our videos, and make sure to click here to subscribe to our channel.
Thank you everyone for joining us. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. Dear friends, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. And those who have not registered for today's webinar, we request you to kindly register with the registration form available on the website and also shared in the chat box.